My name is Denis, also known as Telegraph 909, and today I'm going to show you MIDI Phat 2, which is my Max for Live patch that controls the Moog Sub-Phatty synthesizer from within Ableton Live. And there's already a Moog Sub-Phatty editor, which is also available for free here. The reason why I've built my Max for Live patch is that I've added some extra functionality, and everything is kind of the interface is kind of compact, and everything is easy laid out logically, at least for me anyways, for me to use. So I'm going to describe this today, including some of the interesting features that I have, such as routing. And let's get started. So the interface is laid out the same as the Moog Sub-Phatty panel. You have the pitch section that's here, the modulation, the oscillators, the mixer, filter envelopes, amplifier envelopes. Note that this will also control the under the hood features, as Moog says, that are not available on this panel. And here we have a routing section, which I'll describe soon, and a MIDI Phat panel, which is miscellaneous things. There's a note drift, a note hold, which is similar to the gate source when it's on, but this will remember the last note that you're playing. Let's put the hold on. So you can basically modify the sound as it's being played. There's a random function which will randomize the values. Sometimes you get interesting results, and you can send or get the information or the parameters here to the Sub-Phatty or from them. So the first item I want to talk to you about, the new feature that I've added, is based on the Sub-37 synthesizer. In the mixer section here, you have plus or minus buttons here. Those are mutes for oscillator 1, sub-oscillator, oscillator 2, and noise. So if I'm playing a note here, I can mute it on and off. Another feature that you can see is there's an ADSR graphs here. So as I'm moving this, I can see what I'm doing. It's just a visual representation of the envelope. This is the same for the amplifier envelope, and this also includes the under the hood features. There's a delay and a hold feature that's also displayed in this graph. Now the last item I want to talk about, which is kind of a big one, are called routings, and you'll see black boxes with either RT or a number next to it. These are the routing boxes, or menus I should say, and you can pick one of 6 routings. So what the routings will do is we'll map any of these knobs or switches to either the mod wheel, the pitch wheel, the keyboard, or to a random function which will change it randomly in time, either in milliseconds or sync to the Ableton Live tempo. Excuse me. Now, for example, I have here oscillator 1 routed to the mod wheel. So this is this knob here. So if I'm playing, I can change the volume of oscillator 1 just by wiggling the mod wheel. So you can map actually any of those items to have, for example, you might want to change the mod wheel, the oscillator 1 and the sub oscillator at the same time. It's hard to do that with your hands while you're playing, maybe impossible. So you can get some very interesting performances and sound by changing more than one thing at a time. In terms of the keyboard, the lower you play the note, you can basically effectively turn the knob like this by pressing higher and higher notes. Now, if you don't want that effect, in the routing section for each of the types of routing, there's a low and a high value. These are the MIDI CC values, 0 to 127. You can flip them around so that the low is, say, 127 and the high is 0. So, for example, with the mod wheel, if it's all the way at the bottom, this would be like having the knob turn all the way up. And if it's at the top, the knob would be all the way down. And of course, you can change these values between a certain range. So as you're moving these knobs around, you can see all of these white boxes here. Those are MIDI CC values that are being displayed. So you can adjust it accordingly. So around, say, 320 Hertz is about 45 in MIDI CC, and say 1.2 kilohertz is around 55. So I could put those values in there. So if I want the mod wheel to change just that portion, anyways, you can. In any of the Max for Live patches, if you right-click on any item, you can show the automation lane, and you can draw automation on the screen to change things, change values over time, which is very handy. And Max for Live includes a LFO module, which is this guy here. So basically with this, you can create like a sine wave or a square wave, LFO and ramp and many other things. And you can assign those to any knob or control here. So basically it's like having an LFO for anything. So you can LFO the attack time, for example. Or right now I have a sine wave set to LFO the MIDI octave. So if I turn this on, I chose this just because it's visual. So you can see here that I'm doing an LFO for the changing the octave. So if I'm playing a note, you get some interesting effects. But you can also do the same thing by routing to the mod wheel and doing that yourself manually. So so this is my MIDI Phat software. It's available download off my website. If you click on About in the MIDI Phat, you will see a window come up. My website is denisdesjardins.me, but people, it's hard to remember or type. So you can just click on that button. You can also Google Telegraph 909. That's another way to get at me. And I'm also on Twitter at Telegraph 909. Thank you. Have a great day.